Okay, welcome everybody for the third ride of the Urban Escape Ferry, taking you out of the city for half an hour today. We're talking about cities, urban environments, but we're now entering a unique piece of nature. I will tell you something more about it about 5 minutes. But we have very special guests today, Victor and Ricardo Celaya from Spain. Bienvenido a bordo de este barco de Spain, de México. Perdóname. El señor aquí a la derecha is de España. Welkom iedereen. We gaan vanmiddag een half uurtje varen. We go for half an hour on the eye and do a casual interview with these two guys. There should be two other Mexicans aboard, but they decided to do something else, or it was very late, I think, yesterday night. So, very interesting, guys. But I'm very glad to have you here. Maybe you can introduce yourselves briefly to the audience and use the microphone, please. Sure.
Do you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm Victor, and well, I'm here with Ricardo, and we're brothers. And well, as a brief interview, we have been working for more than 7 years in several projects. But the interesting thing about all these projects from different areas is that all the projects we work with try to do a positive impact into society. Because our projects ranges go from citizen journalism website to a business and private sector consultancy for social innovation, and getting to the art production project that I think we're actually going to talk about today, right? You want to?
Well, my name is Ricardo, and well, Victor already introduced us. And yes, we've been working like for 7 years in these social projects, but we like to say that we started like the other way around, because typically like everybody starts doing a business and then they move towards doing something more social, more philanthropic, and they end up probably doing like well, charity work, or they create an NGO or something. But I don't know, probably because the situation in our country, we started doing things as an NGO. We created this citizen journalism website, and right now we're moving towards more business-like, more business models behind our projects, but with social impact as well. So, well, we're here to talk to you a bit about art and integration of the cities, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for being on board. As I said, I wanted to share a little bit of information on the place where we're floating now, because it's not just a place, it's a place that's connected to all kinds of cities in the world, especially the big ports. Shanghai, for example, Singapore and Seattle are directly connected with the place where we're in. And it's because of these big guys that are traveling between these cities and bringing us the stuff that we need. And losing their water, their salty water from the sea that keeps them in balance. And they bring the water here, and with the water they bring life to this city that wasn't here before. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about this place that we're floating in. They brought great tasting immigrants. These red American lobster is living on the shores of the Eye, and they bring creatures that we can not even imagine being here. These jellyfish, there are millions of them now floating in this area, and that's not a big problem, because the fish that also like salty water like these jellyfish a lot. So, but it's a very special ecosystem I learned about when I decided to take you out on this trip by the city ecologist, whose English is even worse than mine. And therefore he wouldn't come aboard. So I'm telling you a little bit. Welcome to the floating city of Amsterdam, a city built on water, on poles. There's no concrete underneath the houses in Amsterdam, and they just build it floating. Little bit about ourselves. I'm Gijs Garcia Bogart, and there's the Spanish second name, so that should clarify why I try to speak Spanish. I'm a senior strategist at Evident, an internet agency. I try to understand what the companies and organizations ask us to do and come up with a solution that does a little bit more than the question that was asked. One of the examples of our work is for the city, the Forest Council organization, Staatsbosbeheer here. And since we're in nature now, I'm going to talk a little bit about nature and then shift again to the city. This is a website we created last April, and the idea was bringing nature into people's homes. Maybe some of you have seen this website. Hands there, you've seen it. Okay, yeah, that's very nice. 2.2 million people saw it in 8 weeks, so there was a little chance there was one of you. And we brought the family life of a family of foxes into the homes of people in a very special way. There's no sound now because the technology that we have on board doesn't allow us to do this. But people could witness the birth of the 6 young foxes live on the webcams underneath the earth. So we brought nature to people's homes, into the city. And then we had a problem, of course, because it's not the purpose of the Forest Council to bring nature into the city, but to bring people outside into nature. So we helped them build an iPhone app that just does what they want us to do. It's you choose the time that you want to spend accessing nature, and we give you all the natural areas around you. And in Holland, of course, we have no real nature left, but we have parks that look like nature and act like nature, but we still call it nature. So the iPhone was downloaded a lot of times, and we're very happy, of course, about it. We have a green logo, but we're not only a green company. We choose to act responsibly in society, but we're also busy with using online communication to create the urban areas. And this was almost 5 years ago, where we worked with the project development company to say, okay, let's try and give the inhabitants of a new area a role in creating their own area, their own neighborhood. They could pick the amount of space they needed for their families and put it on a floor plan and change the perspective and change the way it was positioned. We plotted it onto a Google Earth map, and then at the time it was technology that was pretty advanced, and then you could see where you would live on a pretty fine scale. We also facilitated discussion around it. Okay, your kitchen is looking straight into my bedroom, for example. Maybe we could just turn it a little bit and live in a better way together. And when I entered the picnic area, there were these guys in the marketplace. Don't know if you've seen them, that are doing exactly this, but need an online platform to make it more accessible. So that's what Picnic is about, of course. Just finding ways to work together with specific disciplines like technology and creation. But we are here for Victor and Ricardo, of course, because they want to share with us their ideas about art and the people. Do you know this picture?
Yeah, Spencer Tunick.
Yes, yes. Spencer Tunick went to Mexico, Mexico City to be exact, and he got all these people to ready to take their clothes off. So I thought it was a nice opening for the Mexican people, just contributing to art, and that makes us coming to the subject of the talk this afternoon. I saw you on stage on that was on Wednesday, and you want to bring art to the people, not to force something upon them, but to use it as an educational element. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, we think of art to the people as a concept. Well, sorry, as a statement. A statement that is composed of two different concepts in order to make it happen. Art, obviously, that is like, I'm going to explain a little bit about art, and disruption. And I'm going to explain the first concept, that art, obviously, well, is good, is beautiful, like most of the people like it. And for many years and many civilizations, it has been used as a vehicle of expression and communication. It also is. It also transmits transcendence. Many people have portrayed themselves through ages the way they wanted us to remember them. It also conveys messages, political, religious, personal messages, historical messages. But no matter what, all these years, art has been used in a creative way to speak out. So that's the first element we see inside art. And you want to talk about disruption, the concept?
Well, just a bit. Yes, actually, this picture and this event that Spencer Tunick organized was quite disruptive for society. I mean, in Mexican society, sometimes it's very prude. But well, we use some of these elements in order to convey messages, and we always like to explain this with an example that happened in Medellin. Sergio Fajardo, who was mayor of the city in Medellin in 2003, he used architecture actually to convey a message to the society. And what he did, he ordered the construction of of several libraries and science parks in the city, but he didn't order them to be built in like the wealthiest areas of the city. He went to the poorest neighborhoods of Medellin and the most violent in the city, and he built these monuments, stunning monuments, beautiful architecture. And for him, he was trying to convey the message that he wanted the city of Medellin to be more integrated. So for him, it was a matter of dignity that the girl that went to a library in the poor neighborhood could actually have access to a library as beautiful as the one a girl was accessing in the wealthiest part of the city, right? So, well, our concept is basically that it's combining art for conveying messages, for expressing ourselves, but also to combine it with a disruptive element in order to pass the message and to shake the minds of the incumbents and try to integrate more the city, more the people in the city.
You also told us about an event you got planned for next year, and I'm of course very curious how you, because my active focus is on doing online things. I'm of course interested in how you use social platforms to do your thing. You do things in the streets. We saw the big pictures of the local heroes just disrupting their image to giant size art to tell the story about the local heroes being small, being unique individuals and not the heroes that we all know. Maybe you could combine your comment on the thing you got planned for next year with the use of online media to get that going.
Oh, yes. It actually is like a we want to make the biggest urban art festival in the world. We are thinking big, but for the same thing, because we have done several projects that every time they have got bigger, and now we want to integrate not just a whole city, but we want to integrate the world in one festival. How are we going to do that? Well, we are thinking about doing it in Mexico. Well, first, we're from Mexico. Secondly, is one of the biggest cities in the world, 21 million people. Also, is where Mexico is the place where muralism movement started. So that sends a lot of message to the whole world, because urban art is not something that born in Mexico, that born in Brazil, born in the UK, but I think it's the perfect place to put everything and set it up like for a festival. And what we want to do is to bring 10 of the best urban artists to Mexico City, given 10 of the best walls, but not normal walls, like the best walls we can ever get, like we have done in other projects, like bridges, tunnels, the walls of the Museum of Contemporary Art, hotels, like really hot spots in the city. Then we want to create like a series of conferences with the urbanists and artists, and also create a showroom beside that to as a marketplace to trade art. But how we're gonna do this? We want to do this all of this in 1 week, but we want to connect it by live streaming 24 hours the whole week, all the murals, all the events. So if you are in Berlin, you can actually be watching how this guy is painting like a 40-meter high building in Mexico, and you can be part of the creative process, and you can actually watch out what's happening there and it's gonna be like really, really renowned. Also in the city, we want to put like benches, like stadium benches, because we have done this project, for example, in Paris, and we got a lot of crowds on the streets, like people just watching how the artist was actually making the mural, and that's amazing. So why not take it to another level, and let's try just to put people sitting, connect the world, connect the city, and like everybody, like in a big festival, like music festival, like everybody goes and watch like the favorite band. Well, they can go and watch the favorite artist painting one of the best walls we can get them.
Yeah. You also told us about the tradition of using specifically murals, and it's fun because walls are something that are discussed a lot on this festival. The walls are made of mushrooms. The guys this morning who were on board talked about organic walls, just creating walls from mushrooms and not from other material that must be get from far away. And we also talked about growing algae on the walls of your house. You choose to use walls and then use live streaming to get that walls into other cities, or to get your thing into other cities. Why is it you choose a concrete surface to get your message over to the world? Is that the maximum effectiveness that you can imagine?
I would say that there's where the disruptive element comes in place, right? Because concrete walls, I mean, we've seen like many stunning buildings around the world, and as Victor was saying, when you're walking by those walls, those huge walls, and you see like something that wasn't there, but because you probably walk there, you walk by every day, and suddenly from one day to another you see like this huge painting which is actually likable to the eye, and you like seeing it. It creates this sort of reaction on people that we think it conveys a message, because it wasn't there, and suddenly you see it. It creates this sort of disruption, but it makes you think as well. And what Victor was mentioning is very important. The creative process is also important, because it's not like when you're going to a museum, for instance, you see like the final product, the final artwork, right? Here you have the chance to be involved in the process, to see how the artist is actually painting the wall. And in the case of Loved Ones, the project that we did in 3 cities, it was also interesting to see how the person that was being portrayed in the wall was involved in the process, and we were actually connecting two worlds: the loved one with the society in general. So I think huge walls are a good way of conveying the message, because they're huge, they're impressive, so you cannot resist looking at them.
But I want to add something. But yeah, probably if we see more of these mushroom walls around the city, we can get like the creative artists to think to do something about with these walls. So yeah, I think it doesn't matter the material where things are being done.
No, and I was wondering, because you want to get things going very fast. In 1 week you want to build up a festival that has exposure to the world. Do you use the social networks within or outside of the city in an online domain to get your message over, to accelerate the communication around your initiatives?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, like actually we work with a team of cinematographers in all our projects, and they make these little 30-second like online capsules of what's happening, and we release them every 2 days. So like people that is not in the city like actually can live like the best moments that are happening in the previous projects. It's not gonna be different in Mexico. Actually, we want to release a capsule every day. And we want to do more dynamic things, like with Twitter, and like send the pictures of what's happening. I don't know. Use the whole social media is basically a really good way to transmit it around the world. And actually, I wanted to mention an example. For one of these, one of the paintings we did in Monterrey, it was quite. Society took it both ways. They like it and they didn't like it. But, well, that's part of art. Controversial, yeah, that's a word. And people, when they were erasing it, we received a lot of pictures by in our Twitter and Facebook page. Like everyone was tweeting, like, "Hey, they're erasing the project." So it is part of the project. That's the way that people communicate with everybody of what's happening.
Yeah. Now the people registrate the erasing the art. Do you also invite your community to participate in making the art? Because I heard you talk about artists doing it, but is there a chance when you get to know about your initiative to participate in creating the mural or doing it more in a bigger group, like the initiative that we see here on the picture, that you're part of art?
Well, not for the projects we have done, not as active as getting a lot of people working with us. In the two projects.
With the pictures, I would say, like the photographers that go. Yeah, well, I mean, we get the community involved when well, all the photographers go out to the streets. In the case of the Loved Ones project, we ask universities and like schools of photography and the community in general to go out to the streets and recognize these local heroes. So that's sort of like giving people a voice on, okay, who's the loved one for you? Yeah. And so propose her to be part of this project. So there's sort of a community involvement in the process, not only in the final artwork, which is mainly done by the artist, but we get the community involved. Yes.
So there's a social aspect before you start working on the art project. I would like to look at the audience. Maybe there's questions for you both from the audience. Are there any questions for these two guys? Yeah. I will come over and try to find a way to get your voice on the mic. Oh.
Hi. Hello. Yes. Can you hear?
Yep.
I'd like to know who is behind sponsoring all of this art that you're doing, all the projects that you're doing. What are the companies behind that? Or is just you? How does it work?
Well,
could you hear the question, everybody? I was sure I will repeat it. Who's the parties or organizations who sponsor your initiatives?
Well, if you were answering an exam, all above, you can answer because no. I mean, yeah, it was a little joke, but it didn't work. Yeah, no, we have worked with the government. We work with the public sector, and in other projects we have put money ourselves, like reinvest our money. So it works different. Like in one of the mural projects, it was like with the private sector and the public sector. Then when we went to Campeche, it was only the public sector, the government. And when we did it in Paris, it was the public sector and the private sector. And we have another one called Backyard to promote like markets for young artists. And there we invest our money there. So it's a mixture of different.
Just to add on that, I would like to comment also that these projects involve a lot of things in the organization, in the production, such as like large cranes, like the paints, the spray painting, flights. So most of the things you can get them sponsored in kind, or sometimes you can get cash from a company that wants the exposure on the project. But I mean, we're not close to the kinds of financing. We have worked with the public and the private sectors, and well, that depends on the project.
Okay, we're getting close to the harbor, so we have to sort of round up. Is there another question from the audience? Maybe one from Spain. No, thanks a lot, guys, for being on board. I hope it was interesting for the crowd and for you. Thanks for coming, to floating with us. Feel free to join us for another one. We get nice guests this afternoon also, and you can also sit on the deck and just enjoy the ride, because you didn't see a lot of the harbor while we're in this conversation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.